the Miami Dolphins absolutely destroying the Broncos 70-20. Normally we like to pass it off, but I'm the Dolphins fan here, so I got to take this one first. And I'm almost at a loss for words. As a Dolphins fan, you expect at some point it's going to come crashing down, but this team shows no signs of that. I really am lost for words. This team is unbelievable. This Dolphins team, I think they have a chance when this season is all said and done. They are going to go down as one of, if not the greatest offense the NFL has ever seen. They are putting up historic numbers. They are doing things that you can't even do on Madden. 130 points through 3 weeks, and they just dropped 70 points. Like, this is unprecedented numbers. That has not happened in the NFL since the 60s. And let's just put it into perspective here. They had the chance to set the NFL record, and they had to take mercy on the Broncos. Mike McDaniel said they had to show respect for the game of football and not put up that 73 points, which they very easily could have done. They had the field goal right there. They decided not to do it out of respect. And owners were still saying that the Dolphins were disrespectful for putting up 70 points. In my eyes, it's disrespectful that the Broncos allowed 70 points. I mean, how bad do you have to be to that to happen? It's just absolutely wild what this team is doing on the offensive side of the ball. It's unprecedented. You have to give so much credit to Tua, Tyreek Hill, and for me, Mike McDaniel, because he is showing out week after week why he's up there. I think a top 3 coach in the NFL as of right now. I mean, he's just scheming this offense perfectly. He is like the perfect guy to lead this team. And he just shows himself as a fantastic coach week after week. And for me, he's up there as a top coach in the league already. I know it's still early in his career, but what a hire the Dolphins did by getting him when they did. And it's funny because he could have been a Denver Bronco. He was the ball boy growing up, grew up a Broncos fan. The Broncos had a coaching vacancy. They could have gotten Mike McDaniel. They didn't go after him. Instead, he becomes a Dolphin, and he hammers them by 50. It's kind of funny how the world works out like that sometimes. For me, I don't want to get carried away here. The Dolphins are 3-0, and for me, the best team in the NFL. They've looked so far. I mean, they're right up there. It's them and the 49ers. We're going to get into our top 5 as of right now at the end of the video here, but this Dolphins team is just absolutely crazy. Obviously, next week against the Buffalo Bills with the chance to go 4-0, for me, that's the test where I say, are they legit? Are they the team I think they are? Because if they can take care of Buffalo in Buffalo, division rival, we know that Buffalo, for now, is still the kings of the AFC East. They, after the Tom Brady era, with the Patriots, then Buffalo stepped in. They've taken the crown for the last couple of years. The only way to take that crown from Miami is by taking it from Buffalo. And for me, if they go ahead and take care of business in Buffalo, that's them kind of cementing themselves as the best team in the AFC East and ultimately maybe the best team in the AFC in general. I mean, they might be right up there with Kansas City or even better. Kansas City's still getting better, but this team is just unbelievable. And for me, I just think that this team is going to continue to get better because the way that this offense is playing, they're going to stay at this level. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to drop 70 points every single week, but all it takes is, they're almost guaranteed to get 30 points a game. This offense is so impossible to stop, especially now. This offensive line, it's looking elite. And I didn't think I'd be saying that at the start of the season, but this Dolphins offensive line looks elite. Looks like they have one of the best offensive lines in football. Now that Teron Armstead is back for the long term, obviously they were still good the first 2 weeks without him. Then Teron Armstead comes back, Pro Bowler, big money guy, came in seamlessly, perfect, boom, no issues. And he was exactly what I thought he would be, one of the best offensive linemen in the league. And now this line gets even better. So now they have a great offensive line to protect Tua. He has all day to throw. He can make the passes, and he's quick. Tua, he doesn't need that much time, but he just needs a little bit. That offensive line gives him that. But now this team has a legit running game. You have Raheem Mostert. You have Achane, who I liked coming into the season. He didn't get his, quite an opportunity the first 2 weeks. Boy, did he show himself out this week. I mean, oh my God. For a rookie, 203 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. It's just absolutely unbelievable what he was able to do. Now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch. This team can rush. They can throw. This team, it's unstoppable on the offensive side of the ball. They're the fastest team in the league by far. The NFL recorded the top 5 fastest plays of the week, and they were all Dolphins. Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane, and Raheem Mostert, they were all there. The Dolphins are the fastest team this league has ever seen. They're impossible to stop on the offensive side of the ball. And you have Tua, the perfect guy, who his anticipation is elite. He puts the ball in places that's almost unimaginable. Like, how is he fitting it into that window? And he just drops it there like it's a blanket. It's just perfect. Boom, right into the hands. It's almost impossible to drop. Right into the breadbasket. Tyreek Hill said it. He's the most accurate quarterback he's ever played with. And people clowned him for that because he played with Mahomes. But Tua is that guy. For me, the MVP as of right now. And it's just – and look, the main question people are going to talk about is the defense. Can the defense just play at a somewhat decent level to, compete with this offense? Because the offense is going to do its thing. Can the defense do what it needs to do? And I still think this defense is good. It's getting better. Vic Fangio is going to have these guys playing better as the season goes on. And ultimately, let's not forget, Jalen Ramsey is still coming back. Come December, Jalen Ramsey is going to come back. That's what are we talking about here? We're still going to add Jalen Ramsey to this Dolphins team. This team is going to get better. The trade deadline is coming up October 31st. I still have a sneaky feeling this team is going to make a move on the defensive side of the ball to get even better. I saw a rumor, Aaron Donald. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying this Dolphins team, on the offensive side of the ball, they're impossible to stop. It doesn't matter what defense they're playing. It could be the 49ers, the Cowboys, whatever you think the best defense is. This Dolphins offense is going to put up numbers against anybody. That's the reality. It's time to accept that. So can this defense just play at a somewhat decent level? Can they be a 15th ranked defense? If they can do that, this team is going to go places. And I think that they can. Vic Fangio is going to figure it out. He's going to continue to improve. Let's not forget, it's his first year there. It's the third week. He's still implementing his system. It's going to take time. And we still have Jalen Ramsey to come back. This Dolphins team is unbelievable. You just have to be excited. As a Dolphins fan, you just have to feel excited. This is the first time in my life where I can say we have a legitimate, case to be the best team in the league. And I've never seen the Dolphins with any kind of offensive firepower like this. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And watching this game, it was just like, damn, like the Broncos just had no chance. Patrick Surtain, he looked like a nobody out there. I mean, Tyreek Hill was cooking them. And before the game, they were talking about how he was going to be, on him the whole game. It didn't seem to matter. And the thing is, we dropped 70 on the Broncos. And let's not act like the Broncos they have terrible defense. They have a solid defense, led by Surtain. And 70. Okay. It's just unbelievable. So I'll go ahead and pass this off to you before I ramble on for too long here.
Okay. Okay. I get to speak. Let's go. Okay, look. I can get that it can be very exciting. It's a lot, to be such a starved fandom that are the Dolphins fans, because they've been starved for so long. I mean, what has it been like since 2002? When's the last time you guys won a playoff game? I don't. We weren't alive.
I wasn't born.
We weren't alive. So that's how long. Just take that in perspective. This is how long this fandom is. But I do disagree with some of the things you said. But I think they're not too much oversteps. As far as that they could do this on defenses like the 49ers. I'm a guy, I got to see it to believe it, let's not act like the Broncos defense is the 49ers defense, but look, it's still a like you said, an offense the Dolphins are running that is possibly could be some of the best one we've seen in a very long time. I'm not ready to say some of the best offense we've seen ever, because it's still kind of a small sample size, but I like what I'm seeing. But I definitely want to talk a little bit about the Broncos, because someone's got to get fired here. I mean, it's just time to cut to the brass to it. Like after that game, someone had to be fired. I don't care who it was. Someone had to be fired. I would not want to be the defensive coordinator going into the coaching meeting the next day. I would not want to be. I would. That's the last person on earth I would want to be, because God have mercy. What do you even say? Like, you're asked what went wrong, what didn't go wrong. I mean, quite literally, an historic game was dropped on your head. That's unacceptable. And it's not like, you're the Bears or something. Like you're just one of the worst teams in the year, the Carolina Panthers. Like, the Broncos have a pretty good defense. I mean, look, we were talking about when Russell Wilson first got to this team, and like their defense was set. That they had a good defense. All they needed was a quarterback to get them to where they're going. Like the Broncos defense wasn't very questioned, obviously led by Surtain. But what on God's earth happened in that day in Miami? I still trying to wonder, because to get blown out by that historic of an amount, it's just after it to a point to where it's like, what can they do? Because the Miami Dolphins got into such a flow state to where everything was working. They got anything they want. Like you saw McDaniels just in the stands, and the point people were taking pictures and was like, who you got in fantasy? Who wants to score right now? Because that's how it just easy was coming. And I look at the Broncos, and I know I'm not sure if last week we talked about the most disappointing team. I think it was more disappointing quarterback, but if there has to be a most disappointing team after this week, it has to be the Broncos. Because how on God's earth does that happen to you? That's unacceptable. I mean, people want to say it's disrespectful, like you said, disrespectful for the Dolphins to score 70. It's disrespectful to allow yourself to be scored by 70. At a certain point, you have to just put your foot down and say, you know what? No, you can't do that. But I guess maybe with an offense like the Dolphins, you don't really have much of a choice and say in that. But to be 70, man, like I wouldn't, we saw interviews even from one of the Broncos, or what was it? I think he's an offensive lineman. Offensive lineman, he just looked like, been losing for 7 years. He's lost his joy. He's lost his joy, blood. And it's hard to blame him because to be on the other side of an ass whooping of this magnitude, you don't want to be, you just never want to be in that position. So
yeah.
It was just something. It was impossible for us to predict because we both picked Miami, but not by this amount.
I thought it would be a much closer game. I mean, coming into the season, obviously last season the expectations for the Broncos, they got Russell Wilson. We're expecting them to be solid. Obviously, very disappointing last season, but this season you got Sean Payton. That's going to be the difference. You have Russell Wilson. He's going to get revived by Sean Payton, and then 3 weeks into the season they're 0-3 and they just lost by 50. They lost by 50. You know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely, I think through 3 weeks, you could very easily say the most disappointing team in the league is the Denver Broncos because everyone thought Sean Payton was going to come in from the broadcast booth and save the Denver Broncos franchise and bring them back to the playoffs. And right now, they're looking like they're in contention for the number 1 pick.
Yeah. I mean, this was the guy that said that Teddy Bridgewater will be playing quarterback for the Dolphins because Tua wasn't going to last. This is that same guy, and then this is what Tua does to you. And then you also lose to the Broncos ball boy. I mean, It's just too much. It's just so much on Sean Payton, and it's you start to kind of question, what has Sean Payton really done? I mean, because he came into this job saying that was the worst coaching he's ever seen in his entire life of last season. That everything was done wrong, and then you start this season, and honestly, I don't notice a difference. Have you noticed a difference? This is like the same fucking Broncos. They're 0-3.
By 50. Why could you say there's been a difference?
Nothing's changed, Sean Payton. I don't know what. I mean, I get you have to hype yourself up and put yourself in a scenario, but to come in to put that much pressure on yourself, saying, you know what, the other guy that was here before me, he did the worst job I've ever seen in my entire life. He couldn't have done worse. He might as well have nobody there. And you start off the season like this by getting a 70 piece, like you said. This is hard to do in fucking Madden unless you're playing on a rookie or you just have two players. You leave the controller over here. You're not even playing nobody. It's still hard to get 70 because it's so tiresome. So the fact that they did this in real life, like this is this happened.
It got to the point where they had the backup Mike White throwing bombs. I mean, he was dropping
Mike
bombs.
White was lighting them up. I saw two on the sideline going crazy. That Mike White was cooking. I was like, what?
They got Robbie Anderson from the practice squad catching 60-yard passes. Like at a certain point, it's like, come on.
It's like it can't happen. It just can't happen. I mean, it sounds like kind of a stupid thing to say, but it's quite literally something that cannot happen. Like, if you're a team in the NFL, like this is a National Football League we're talking about here. We're not talking about a NFL team playing a college team or something. Yeah. Like this is the best. You cannot get set. It's just something that can't happen.
I mean, you know how difficult it is to score 70 points in an NFL game. You know what I mean? Like, you put the best team versus the worst team. We just saw this week the Chiefs playing the Bears. The Bears are the worst team in the league. They only gave up 41. You know what I mean? Like, it's so difficult to score 70. Like, you know how bad you have to be. How much of a terrible performance you have to do on all facets of the game, on offense, defense, special teams.
And even the Broncos are, like, realistically, you look man for man, they're not that horrible. Like, you're telling me the Bears defense is better than the Broncos defense? No, it's just not. But look, maybe football math is never going to work like that. So it's not like, if the Dolphins play the Bears, they're not going to win by 120 or something. It's a matter of, I think, just putting your foot down, having a presence. I think to a certain point, the players checked out. The people on the defense checked out. So you know what? Fuck this shit. I mean, what is happening? What's going on? But
I mean, it was like every single time the Dolphins got the ball, they scored. Pretty much, that's what it was like. So at a certain point on defense, you have to say, what can we do? Like, the coach is calling plays, and it's like, why are we even bothering? Like, it doesn't matter what we run. They're going to cook us. They're going to complete the pass. They're going to run for 10 yards on us. It's just deflating. I mean, think about it as a, think about you're one of those guys in the trenches. You're battling there on the line, and you're just getting eaten alive. You're getting mauled. They're getting 10 yards of rush on you. Devon Achane, a guy that most teams wouldn't have even heard of before this week. The only reason you knew about him before this week, whether you're, a player, whether you're a fan, is if you're a Dolphins fan and you've been, very close up and personal with this team. That's the only reason you knew him. I knew him going into the season. I drafted him in fantasy very late on because I thought this kid could be something special. But, nobody really knew him. Nobody expected him to drop what he dropped. I mean, we're talking 200 yards rushing. I mean, come on. But, I mean, at a certain point, it's just deflating. I mean, it's one thing you have to worry about Tua. You have to worry about Tyreek Hill. You didn't even have to worry about Jalen Waddle in this game, something we didn't even mention. But then you're getting cooked by Devon Achane. 203 yards. It's just deflating.
Just like they lost by 70. They didn't even have their second best receiver, their second best weapon. It's like,
that's what I mean. You're talking about this Dolphins team being scary. They just dropped 70 without Jalen Waddle. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Jalen
like, they dropped 70 without him.
I don't know, but I think it is clear to say that I think we're going to talk about it later, but the Dolphins, it's hard not to have them there because I think overall this is easily going to be the most impressive performance of the year already. This season's already. I can't see anything being more impressive than beating a team by 50.
And dropping 70 points on offense.
And dropping 70 points because like the other one for me was the Cowboys beating the Giants 40-0. They didn't let a point, but
it was impressive.
It was impressive, but this is 70 points. Like, this is just straight up just
historic.
dropping 70.
I mean, it hadn't been done since the 60s.
Yeah,
and to do that in the modern game, it's very difficult.
I mean, I don't know. So someone's got to be fired. Broncos country is not riding. I don't know what has to happen. I'm glad I'm not a Broncos fan.
And we're not we're not gonna talk about it, but next week Broncos Bears. My God.
Oh my God.
My God.
No, I will not be watching.
We'll not be watching that.